Welcome everyone to the game between Fabiano Caruana and Magnus Carlsen at the World Blitz Championships 2025. Very important round 12 game between the two. Magnus has been playing not at his best in this tournament. He did lose to Arjun Erigaisi in round 9, then drew with Alexander Grishchuk, and then he did beat Volodar Murzin in the previous round. Now faces Fabiano Caruana, who himself has been in pretty decent form, beating Eltad Safarli, Volodar Murzin, Alexander Injik, drew with Arjun Erigaisi, and now against Magnus Carlsen. These two have played so many games between themselves. I mean, legends in their own right. Magnus always stopping Fabi from getting that pole position in any tournament that they play. But let's see what happens here today. A handshake there and off we go. Fabi opens with pawn to e4 and Magnus responds with d6. A risk that he can take in a blitz game. We have the Philidor defense with e5. Knight comes out to d7, bishop c4, bishop e7, and he castles. Black castles as well, and a4 played. Black plays c6. And white plays pawn to a5, grabbing even more space. Queen comes up to c7, defending the pawn here. One of the plans could be h6, rook e8, knight f8. He plays rook to e1. Because if you play directly rook e8, you have to worry about takes and knight g5, knight e6 business. h6 is a useful move just to stop the knight from coming to g5 or the bishop coming to g5. All these ideas are stopped. Fabi also plays h3 to just take care of the g4 square. And now Magnus, well, most likely will go rook to e8. And with this, he's preparing either bishop f8 or knight f8, knight g6. Let's see the plan that Fabiano Caruana takes. A few ideas here. One is bishop e3. He goes d5. And perhaps this is not the best move because black has this idea of b5. And Magnus finds it. Beautiful move, b5. Because now the bishop's hanging. He takes en passant, but the knight takes. And once knight takes, the bishop and the pawn both are under attack. He takes on d5. And this is already looking very, very good and comfortable for black. Because, yes, pawn takes. And now the bishop can come to the f5 square. He plays it to d7. Slightly conservative, but also a nice move. Black knight can come to c4, rooks can come to c8 and b8. He goes rook a6. Fabi saying to Magnus that, hey, you also have a weakness here on a7. I can go bishop e3, queen a1, triple down the a file, and that could be very dangerous for you. Magnus goes rook to c8. He's putting pressure down the c file. Maybe just simple move, bishop e3. That seems very normal to play here. Just putting the bishop here. He goes queen d3. And I wonder what the idea of this move could be. Maybe he's eyeing for some knight b5 ideas. Not sure, actually. Magnus goes queen to b7. Keeping an eye on the rook and also on this pawn on d5. And now rook to a5. The rook comes back, defends the pawn on d5. And bishop d8 by Magnus. Some discovered ideas there, but queen to a6. A beautiful move by Caruana. He wants to trade the queens off. And with that, Magnus has to remain careful, because he has a weakness on d6, a weakness on a7. Magnus has 1 minute 30 seconds or so. Fabi has 1 minute 56 seconds. Taking the queen looks kind of forced, but there's also the possibility to go queen c7, eyeing the a5 rook. He takes, rook takes. And now a very cool idea is knight e8 to c7. If Fabi can get bishop e3 and rook a1, he would be completely dominating. But knight e8, love the move. Love the move because bishop e3, knight c7, you kick the rook away from a6. Also, there are ideas of now the king side majority starting to move. Bishop e3 on the board. By the way, if you play knight c7, there could be potentially dangers with rook a5 and then threatening to take here, take on a7. So he goes knight to c4, takes, rook takes, and now rook a1. He plays knight to d2. Not the best move there. By the way, I was wondering if you could take this pawn, but then takes, and bishop a5 is very strong pinning here. By the way, knight d2, he comes back, rook c7. I guess Magnus was a bit worried if bishop b6 works here, but no, rook takes c3 and then I take on b6, so that doesn't work. He goes rook a1. And now rook to b8, putting pressure on b2. Smart move there by Magnus. Knight jumps to b3. Fabi is coming in with his knights here perhaps on the queen side. a7 pawn is now difficult to defend. It's super weak and it's going to fall. So where is Magnus going to create his counterplay? I believe on the c2 square is where the counterplay lies. Just get your bishop out. But Magnus is burning a lot of time. That's not normal for him. He's down to 20 seconds on the clock. And Caruana looking as calm as one could be. Bishop f5. And now knight to a5. Well, he's giving up the b2 pawn. Simply snatch it. He takes it, knight c6. Fabi moving fast. Now bishop f6 is a great move. He goes bishop g5, offering a trade. But perhaps not the best move. Takes, and rook takes a7. Well, you can take on, he takes on c2. And now you can either trade the rooks, but he goes knight b5, attacking the rook, and Magnus misses it. What? He misses the rook, and he gives a free rook and jumps in his chair and resigns. Oh my goodness, this was just insane. How did Magnus Carlsen miss that? I can't believe it. Maybe it's a good idea for us to just backtrack that and look at it in slow motion. What happened there? So let's have a look. Fabi moves his knight to b5, attacking Magnus's rook. Now Magnus, maybe in his head, has already captured the rook on a7 and now plays bishop d3, attacking the knight, but he absolutely forgets that his rook is hanging. Fabi, even without blinking, simply takes the knight and chops off the rook free. And Magnus is like, what the hell did I just do? Very, very rare to see Magnus blunder in this way. Maybe it's one of the first times ever that I have seen him doing this.